Good day, fellow Jersey nerds, and welcome to episode 4 of Throwback Throwdown, powered by HockeyJerseyConcepts.com. I'm your host, Ryan, and on today's Throwdown, we're traveling back to my birth year, 1983, and specifically the 83-84 season for this Throwdown retro matchup. We have, in semifinal number 1, Washington's Retro Reds going up against the New Jersey Devils Retro Reds. And semifinal number 2, the St. Louis Blues Retro Blue Jersey going up against the LA Kings Retro Purple Jerseys. And then, of course, the two winners will meet in tonight's final Throwdown. And what would this episode be without co-hosts? And we have plenty of those. Joining us this week is Beepo. Beepo, you ready for this 83 matchup?
Yep, I'm just throwing back, Ryan. How about you?
I love it that you're throwing. How old were you in 83 again?
Negative 15.
Oh, that's a good age. That's a great age. Who doesn't remember being negative 15?
I don't know. Probably a lot of people.
Also joining us for the throwback is Sean. What's going on, Sean?
Rocking a Vegas home jersey. Good name to put on here. Alex Tuck.
James Neal.
We don't talk about the forbidden one.
It's good to see, though.
Sorry, Ryan, go ahead.
It's good to see that Sean is working towards the process of burying the hatchet. And
trying to bury the hatchet with Vegas. I was tasty with them. And, you know, we all make mistakes. We all take dickhead players sometimes, and that's fine. Vegas was nice enough to move on from him after 1 year. And, yeah, you know what? They have some likable players. They're playing good hockey, and they've proven their right to exist. Other than that, I was negative 13 in 1983.
It's a good age, too.
And fun fact, most of my cassette collection is from 1983.
All right, joining us as well for the Throwback Throwdown here. Steve, how was your 1983?
I was probably still a twinkle in my parents' eye, if I recall. I don't think my parents were too concerned about me at the moment, so...
How negative old were you, Steve?
Give me a second here.
While Steve is figuring this out, Sean, you're about as opposite from throwback as you can get.
-8.
Steve was -8. Sean's wearing a jersey that couldn't have even been fathomed in 1983. And with his Vegas Golden Knights jersey.
I didn't get to mention as well, the jersey that I'm wearing is not the actual jersey, but in true throwback form, I'm throwing back to this week's Fake or Authentic. I'm wearing the Penguins' inaugural blue jersey. Not the actual Hall of Fame jersey. For more on that, listen to the Fake or Authentic podcast. But, you know, one of the modern replicas of it.
Fun fact, I think in 1983, you could convince the average hockey fan that Vegas in the future will have a hockey team, but you could not convince them that they would be called the Golden Knights. They'd be like, that's a stupid name.
Maybe the Vegas Gangsters.
What about the Sand Slashers?
Sand slashers?
Yeah.
Why would anybody slash sand?
I don't know, but like it'd be like making a slap shot on sand, and Pokemon hadn't been invented yet, so no one was going to make that reference.
You sound like a goddamn stoner, Sean.
I am not. I have done the podcast stoned, and you know what that's like. We know what that's like. I really like Buffalo on those. By the way, if I start going off on about Jeff Skinner and the Sabres looking fantastic, you know I'm high.
All right, so everyone's ready to go. Everyone fondly remembers what they were doing in 1983. As we get started here, links to all of these pictures, to all of these jerseys, you can find in the show notes wherever you're listening to this podcast. So be sure to check out those links. Let's get ready with semifinal number 1. We have the Washington Capitals red jerseys from 1983 going up against the New Jersey Devils red jerseys from 1983. Let's start with the Capitals. Most of you know this jersey. This is their original wordmark red jersey, white yolks, arms running down the sleeves, arms across the chest, big blue stripe. Underneath that, a big white stripe. And then there's thin stripes on the cuffs. Pretty well-known retro jersey here from the Washington Capitals. Going up against another well-known jersey that we also saw recently, with the edgification of it. But we have the red New Jersey Devils jersey, green yolks, big white outline around those yolks. And then the sleeve stripes, there's a green stripe outlined in both sides on white. And then you could say there's a red stripe, which is also outlined in white. The green stripe is on the hem, and underneath that is a white stripe. So definitely very 80s jerseys here. We're going to start off with the Washington Capitals. Sean, what do you think about this jersey?
It's interesting because 1983 was the year that
it's two American teams. There's not even an American battle here. It's two American teams.
Yeah.
No. If you remember from the time that I ran one of the Anarchy podcasts, we had this jersey on there, and I started doing that as Sean was talking.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Sean, as the patriotic theme plays in the background.
Well, I'm not American, despite every attempt. This is the year that the Capitals decided to go from 5 stars on the arms to 4. And that was a smart move. It decluttered the arms quite a bit. Yeah, these are all right. The white jerseys, far superior in every way, shape, and form. But they fit the era very well. I really like them in a throwback form. I really like the look of the word mark here. They're just nice jerseys. I don't think the Capitals were too bad in '83. Let's take a look. They lost the division semifinals, finished 3rd in the Patrick division, winning 39 games with 94 points, which would still get you in the playoffs today.
I think you might be looking at,
good job,
Sean, you might be looking at 82, 83. We're looking, not that it changes things, but we're looking at the 83, 84 season where the Capitals.
They did better then. They won 48 games that year.
Yeah.
Good for that. You know what? Good for them. Okay. So you know what? Even better. All right. So you know what? That would definitely get you in the playoffs today. All right. So they had a good year, but it's one of those jerseys that I like in the past, but I want it to stay in the past. Stop bringing it back, Washington.
All right, Beepo, your thoughts on Washington's red jersey?
Now, again, if you're a first-time listener, I'm a Pens fan, so I'm not exactly fond of the Caps. I don't hate them as much as other Pens fans do, but I'm not fond of them. But this is a very nice jersey. I'm okay with them bringing it back, but I think it's probably gone a little bit too far at this point with every other team bringing back throwbacks. The color on it is very nice, if not a little bit too bold, as I kind of noticed as I was watching a game with them in these jerseys recently. They might benefit from being navy blue instead of bright blue. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but that may help. The stars are pretty nice. Could probably do without the ones on the front, but even so, I think they're still fine. And the logo is appropriately dated. It looked fine back then, but if they're going to bring something like this back full time, please change it for the love of God. It literally looks like it came out of the 70s or 80s, which it did. But for the most part, very nice jersey design, and I love the amount of color on it. Striping is good. Pretty good overall.
Steve?
So, I'm not a big fan of the Capitals. However, there are some things that I like about this jersey. The use of the stars on it. It's not something that you normally see at all today, which I really wish the Capitals would bring back onto the sleeves, because it's just so darn beautiful to see that. Now, I think on the chest it's a little overused personally. Just stick to one or the other, the chest or the sleeves. But however, I do like the thick waist striping there. So on the hem, that's really nice, and then just having the accented reversed striping on the cuffs is nice, and then just rounding it off with the white yoke, while it is just a little bit extra with that white, with the white collar, I mean, it doesn't hurt it at all. So overall, it's a decent jersey.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things on this jersey that are obviously dated. It's from the 1983. The logo, the logo is dated. The stars on the chest are they're just too much. They're totally in my face, and it's driving me nuts. The thick hem stripes, I don't like them, but they kind of tie in with the shoulder yoke, so it's a kind of up and down situation there. The standard block font kind of calms everything down, so it's appropriate for the era. But there's a couple things here that did not age well. Let's go to the New Jersey Devils, and this jersey was popular enough that it even came back in Reebok Edge form. Sean, start us off here.
Two things blew my mind as a kid. Finding out the New Jersey Devils at one point wore green and red, and that the home and away had the exact same striping pattern on it. This is something for someone who, again, in their lifetime, never saw the Devils change their jersey until 2 years ago, that I was fascinated by this jersey because I thought it looked really good, and I still do. The thick yoke stripes, I'm a big fan of. I love the arm stripes. I love the color balancing here. I love how it stays away from being a Christmas jersey in every respect. I really liked in 2014 that Jaromir Jagr and Dana Zubrus wore this thing outdoors, two of my favorite players growing up. And let's see how the Devils did in 83-84. Oh, my God.
Not good.
It's the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Come inside, Wayne Gretzky hates you.
That's how the song goes. Good, nailed it, Sean.
That's it. I know the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse theme. That's how it's sung in the Gretzky household.
But hell of a season here from the Devils. Let's start with 56 losses in an 80-game schedule. So that's a good start. 7 ties, and that leaves 17 games left over in which they won.
Did we say Mickey Mouse?
You did. Yep.
I just want to check to see how 82-83 went for them. Nearly identical. And 84-85. A little better. They got up to 22 wins the following season.
5-win improvement.
Wow, yeah. If you thought that like the Thrashers were bad or Colorado was bad a few years ago, like they don't even begin to hit some of this bad.
Well, at least
80s and 70s NHL bad is bad.
At least they look good, even though they were losing so many games. I don't know what you think about these jerseys, Steve.
I absolutely love these jerseys, particularly the red jersey. As you know, I made a special Happy Holidays one of this exact Red Devils jersey. Sorry, I had to cough. So what I really like, though, is if we're speaking particularly about the red jersey, is the fact that the green and the red match so well. And this is coming from someone who has a color deficiency, so I don't see green and red necessarily as others, but it really works for me. Not only that, but the green pants are just, like, if it was red pants, it'd be too much. But being that they work really well with the green pants is really nice. And on top of that, for some reason, I really love that thick yoke stripe. It's just like something that you don't see anymore, and it like really fills it out completely overall. So, I mean, just this jersey design and the color scheme, it's not something you don't see anymore, and I'd love to see the Devils bring it back, but I mean, it's more fitting for the Devils to be black and red, but to at least have this as an alternate, or how they have the white one as a throwback for heritage purposes, it's great.
Beepo?
I think this jersey is pretty much a classic. Not so classic that the one that followed this up was any worse than this. I would say the other one is definitely more classic than this, but this one is very close to it. Like Steve said, the red and the green play off of each other very well. Not like the Capitals one where you could argue that it's too bright. The green is just kind of that perfect shade, so that way it doesn't make the whole jersey too bright and it accents it perfectly, especially with the green pants. The matching striping on the home and away are a really nice touch, and the striping in general just looks really nice. The yoke stripe, like Steve said again, looks really nice. And there's really not much to complain about on this jersey. And again, going to kind of go back to what Steve said, that I wouldn't mind seeing this brought back in the modern day, especially compared to what they have now. Just make it black.
Well, it's certainly a memorable jersey from the '80s, and the colors are very memorable, and people still kind of associate this with the New Jersey Devils, and would frankly love to see it come back. The Devils owned it, especially kind of that shade of green. There's just something a little bit different about it for New Jersey, but I like that it could be a simple jersey. Upon quick look, if you weren't really a jersey nerd, it could just be a regular kind of looking jersey. But once you really crack into it, there's a few things that could be weird, but actually really work here for this jersey and add a lot of charm to it. And that's the white hem stripe, even though there's already a hem stripe above it. And I know that's so it matches the white jersey, but it's still a unique feature. And even though you got the green stripe on the arm that's outlined with two white stripes, there's still another white stripe, which creates that red stripe between them. So a couple cool features there. And as has been mentioned, the thick yoke outline, which is tremendous. So it's time to pick a winner. Sean, who's your winner? Washington Capitals red jersey or New Jersey Devils red jersey?
Devils by far. Going to give Bruce Driver and crew the win there.
All right, Steve, who's your winner here? New Jersey or Washington?
I'm giving it to New Jersey. It's just the color combination and the simplicity but uniqueness of the striping outweighs by far what the Capitals had.
And Beepo, who's going to win?
Also going to give it to New Jersey. Also forgot to mention that I got to give it to them for making sure this doesn't look like a Christmas jersey. I mean, if you look at it hard enough, it'll look like a Christmas jersey. The only way that I think you can really make sure it never will is by using vintage white, like what Minnesota does. But if you look at it, it doesn't just initially scream Christmas to you like a bunch of other red and green jerseys will. You'd really have to kind of look at it that way, or it would have to have a Christmas-themed logo on it.
And I'm also going to give it to New Jersey. So we got a clean 4-0 sweep here for the New Jersey Devils over the Washington Capitals. Semifinal number 2, and actually this jersey matchup, I believe, actually happened during the CCM Vintage Program, 2003, maybe 2004, I believe. LA and St. Louis. So we have St. Louis in their blue jerseys. It's actually a royal blue versus kind of that pro blue or kind of muted blue that they may use now. So we got a blue jersey. We have very interesting shoulder yokes here. Yellow is the predominant color, but then as we work down towards the chest of the jersey, we got a white stripe, blue stripe, and then a very thin yellow stripe. The arm and hem stripes have a thin white stripe, which is outlined in blue, and then we have thick yellow stripes outlining that. Kind of a classic-looking font on the back for both the numbers and the player name, but overall, a really great retro-looking jersey there. Moving on to the Kings purple jersey. This is the purple jersey with the retro crown logo, broad gold hem stripe outlined in white, and then this is the sleeve design that arches down to kind of include a cuff design, which is in yellow and outlined in white. I guess you could say these jerseys are most associated with Marcel Dion or even Bernie Nichols, let's say. So starting with our St. Louis review, Sean, lead us off.
This is interesting because for those who don't know, in 1983, St. Louis was almost moved to Saskatoon to the point where jerseys were produced. This is going to happen in Canada. It was going to have 19th. I wish it happened, despite I like the sound of St. Louis blues, and Saskatoon blues sounds terrible. But I also like the thought of, hey, Saskatoon almost had an NHL team to the point where jerseys were produced. So nice little fun fact there. Yeah, these are interesting because they feel like they should have been dated, but they weren't. Like the current St. Louis throwbacks are based on their expansion jerseys, which then added more yellow in the mid 70s, and then added the yellow yoke in 1979. On the other hand, most people don't remember that because the Blues were mediocre back then. It's okay. It's just something that it only lasted 5 years. It came and went, and the Blues have had so many looks that this tends to get overshadowed. And I don't think it should, but at the same time, there's nothing here that really jumps out to me that says, well, other than the fact that it matches their classic, that era's white jersey that lasted all the way through. So, yeah, I mean, I have mixed feelings on this jersey.
All right. Steve, your thoughts on the St. Louis jersey?
So looking at it here, it's almost perfectly color balanced. And I say that because when you're working with this bright of a yellow on this light of a blue, you're going to want to tend to use the blue more to give it a little more appealing look. Now, I think that the yoke striping here, it's a bit confusing. It doesn't work as well as what New York uses, but overall, if they were to just have not the yoke on it, but they were to have the striping on it, it'd be a knockout jersey here, just because then it would be much more balanced. But I think it almost seems like they were just, I mean, at the time, I'm sure it was very popular, but it seems like if they were to do it today, they'd be trying too hard to add in yellow into this system. But I've always liked, this was one of my favorite logos, this logo and the 90s logo with St. Louis written in it and the red added onto it. So this is, that's always been my favorite logo. So overall, it's a nice classic jersey. I just think that the color balance itself is way off, and there's just a little too much going on up top.
Beepo?
This is a really nice jersey, and I really like this one. Compared to their current throwback / inaugural jerseys, I don't think I like it better, but it's definitely close. The striping is very nice, I think, and as you'll hear from me a lot, I like the amount of color on it. But the main issues I have with this are almost going to echo Steve. For one, the shoulder yoke design itself is just very strange in why they chose what they did. If they kept it consistent with the rest of the jersey striping, I think it would look a lot better. But either way, it looks a little bit top heavy with the yellow yoke and then not much yellow down the bottom, just like Steve said. So if they remove that, which they had for a lot of their existence, it looks a lot better. But either way, doesn't ruin it. Still a nice looking jersey.
Yeah, the yoke kind of misses the mark here for me, as we've kind of touched on. The sleeve and hem striping would have been a perfectly good inspiration for that, but it's not the way they went. I really think the font, though, here works well. It's very similar to almost what the Bruins currently use, so works really nice on this jersey. And as Steve mentioned, this is a really great variation or version of the Blues logo. So a good throwback, but the yoke misses the mark for me. Let's go to the LA Kings purple jersey. Sean, what do you think?
All right, another jersey that I just have mixed feelings about. Again, you could call this a transition jersey. Out of the Marcel Dion, into the Luc Robitaille, but we're not at Gretzky yet. They were a good team. They had the weirdest anniversary logo where it contained red and silver for some reason. I actually have the patch for it for when I get this jersey. It's that interesting. I like them, but they're very dated. Like, these are quintessential 80s hockey jerseys. In fact, the film Straight Outta Compton made a joke about how dated they were, and the movie's supposed to take place, I think, in 1991 or 1990. So there's a scene where I can't remember NWA's lineup, but the guy who's a loser shows up, and they're all wearing Raiders gear and White Sox stuff, all black and white, and he shows up in a friggin' Kings jersey, and they all look at him like he's stupid. That jersey was dated in 1991.
All right.
So that'll tell you what.
Steve, what do you think about these purple Kings jerseys?
I kind of have to agree with Jets. It's just an unusual jersey. I've got mixed feelings. What I like about them is they're a lot more simplistic, but they use the half yoke into a cuff, which was quintessential 80s. And today, it's the only team that really pulls it off is the Flyers, and that's been kind of their look since their beginning of time. And but for, like I said, for the color combination that they used for having that much yellow, and to use the yellow as the half sleeve into the cuffs, it's so bright. And not only that, but they have it outlined by white, and the white even outlines the collar, but it doesn't outline the collar all the way around. It's not a part of the collar. It wraps under the collar and continues on as if the piping around the on the arms continues around, and that's it's not a good look. And another thing that annoys me is that the crown looks like just slightly too small on the front of the jersey for me. Just slightly too small for what it is. They could have made it bigger. But, I mean, overall, like you said, back then, yes, this was a good jersey, but today it doesn't fly.
Beepo, what are you thinking about this Kings jersey?
I'm pretty much going to have to agree with just about everything that's already been said. It's a nice looking jersey in a vacuum. It's very consistent overall, and it adds a lot of color, which, again, I love a lot of color. But it's very, very 80s looking, and kind of as we mentioned with St. Louis, it's also very, very top heavy on the yellow, even worse than St. Louis. And there's not too much else to say that hasn't been said, honestly. Oh, also, I haven't actually seen the in-game picture of it, just off of a quick search. Oh, wait, here it is. Yep, I like the yellow helmets. Just as I do with Pittsburgh currently whenever they do, and with Nashville. I do like... Oh, wait, we're not talking about that one. Either way, I like the yellow helmets with the yellow jerseys. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the NHL uniforms picture, so I just see yellow helmet, and I just think, okay, I'm just looking at them both at the same time. But, yeah, pretty decent design, but very top-heavy and very 80s.
I'm a fan of this design. It's very 80s. It's kind of a timestamp for the Kings. Like, okay, this is what we were in the 80s. And simple design. I think the colors look really great. Would love to add this jersey to my collection. The crown logo is kind of too detailed, but at the same time, it's the way it was. And I'm not about to suggest that we go back in time and change it. So I'm a fan of these jerseys. There's not much to say about them. Simple. They kind of do look like Philadelphia jerseys, but because of the colors, it became a Kings jersey. But it is time to pick a winner between St. Louis and LA. So, Sean, who do you have?
Ooh, this is tough. I am going to give it to LA because I just kind of wish the Saskatoon Blues happened, and I'm a little bitter.
Steve?
I'm actually going to have to give it to the Blues. I just feel like that they balanced the use of yellow and a blue/purple much better.
And Beepo?
Definitely going to have to give this one to St. Louis. While LA's colors I like better because they're more unique, St. Louis just has a better looking jersey design here.
All right, very interesting. Now, I was going to go LA, but that would put us in a tie situation, and that would not be good for the sake of this podcast. So I will withhold my vote. And so St. Louis...
Oh, come on.
We can't have a tie, Sean. Someone's got to move on.
Sure we can. We'll just flip a coin.
All right, who's got a coin on them at this exact moment?
Well, I have...
No one has a coin.
I have a hockey card. Here, we'll flip my Nico Hershier Tim's hockey card.
All right, to
I can
determine the
flip my-
tiebreaker.
I can flip my Apple AirPods case.
Do you really want to do that?
No,
No. All right,
Guys, I
Sean.
flipped the
I
hockey
just have to
button.
play into some of the recent memes.
Sean's got the tiebreaker hockey card. He's flipped it, and the winner is.
Wait, call it.
Oh my
Call
goodness. Well, what am I calling? Face or stats? I guess, right?
Stats. Well, call it as you would. So stats is
Okay,
what?
if it lands stats up, the Kings win. Go, flip.
Win. Kings win.
Kings win, stats up. Thanks to
How
the
do we
Nico.
know that? It's not video proofed.
If you paid for the $91.99.
If you watched the video feed, you would have seen me flip it, overthrow it, and throw it over my TV onto the couch.
All right, so we in the final here we have the a repeat of the 2012 Stanley Cup final, but we have the 1983 version here. So we have the New Jersey Devils
Ooh, rigged.
going up against the Los Angeles Kings. Pick your winner and explain why, Sean.
I got to give it to New Jersey because, again, just the Mickey Mouse thing kind of makes me laugh. But more to that, fantastic jerseys that I love seeing on a yearly basis. Nothing more, obviously, but it's always nice to know that they're never forgotten and that Jaromir Jagr wore it.
Steve, your winner?
I gotta give it to the Devils. The Devils did a much cleaner job of their jersey, and it's unique to them, but it's also a timeless look. And I think it's something that they could bust out today, and it would be popular compared to what Los Angeles has, and people would look at that and ask, why did they copy the Flyers?
Beepo?
Well, I was just jokingly mocking this matchup for being rigged, but it doesn't really matter because I was going to pick New Jersey either way. They're just classic and they look much better. There's not much else to say. And New Jersey, definitely, if they never changed out of this look, aside from changing it to black, it would not look any worse for the wear today.
And I'm going to have to give it a clean sweep to New Jersey, 4-0 here in the final. It was a jersey that they made their own, unique to them. The colors worked for them. It says New Jersey. There's no debating about who it's for. So the colors look better for LA. I like the purple and gold combo better, but New Jersey wins because they just took a jersey and made it a little bit different and became their own thing. So New Jersey wins this edition of Throwback Throwdown. And that wraps up another episode of Throwback Throwdown. I'd like to thank Sean, Steve, and Beepo for joining me on this one. And be sure to like, share, and download all of our HJC podcasts across the HJC Podcast Network. Be sure to check out the Jersey Nerds podcast on Tuesday. And, of course, we have Fake or Authentic every Thursday. Going on hockeyjerseyconcepts.com right now, we have the Cleveland Monsters redesign. Entries for that are due February 8th. And we have the Vancouver Canucks redesign vote, which ends February 1st. Also ending on February 1st is the 2018 Concept of the Year final vote. That's going on right now. To see all of our votes, you got to be logged into a Google account, and all voting ends Friday at noon Eastern Time. So thanks for listening to this episode. We'll see you again next week.